Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news. I don't want the blue one. Get that off. I don't want the blue one. Hello everybody, welcome to the show. What a massive day it is for Manchester United and obviously this Champions League game. Remember, it's an early kickoff, so we'll be live at about 5 o'clock for you today for a 5:45 kickoff. It's absolutely massive. Are you getting nervous? We'll talk about that in a moment, but we're here to talk about the news as always at 10 o'clock on a morning show on the United Stand. And we're talking about a Ten Hag 100 million January transfer boost. I can hear people moaning about this already, but it's a news story. And also we've been linked quite heavily to Florian Wirtz, the German 20-year-old attacking midfielder as well. So we'll talk about that. I suppose before we delve into this story, because it's talking about 4 transfer targets in January, it's very easy to say, well, this is a load of nonsense because we're very much used to doing nothing in the January transfer window, of course. But where it's coming from is from The Guardian, and what they're saying is this, that Manchester United there's concerns over Amrabat and his indifferent start at Manchester United. And this has prompted the club to consider a move for a defensive midfielder in January. So that we're looking at a centre defensive midfielder, apparently. Also, we're looking for a right-sided centre-back, which is not a surprise, a number 8 and a striker as well. So that's 4 players, a holding midfielder, well, starting from the back, a right-sided centre-back, a holding midfielder, a number 8 and a striker. Now, I would say straight away, what a load of crap. But we're nowhere near top 4. And if we're nowhere near top 4, we're not going to be in the Champions League next year. And whilst the Glazers have been very happy to ignore the January transfer window in the past, if we ignore the January transfer window again, then there is a very real possibility that we won't be in the Champions League. So logically, if you were coming into the club as a new investor and somebody who's in charge with the footballing side, I would be looking to utilise that January transfer window, and I would be looking to bring in players that are going to enhance our chance of getting top 4, which is still very much up for grabs. If you take into account Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool will get top 3, there is still a 4th place, which, if we're being completely honest, is there for somebody quite inexperienced, because Chelsea won't get it, and it's therefore going to be Spurs, Villa, Brighton, Newcastle or Manchester United, and we've got the most experience. So I think I agree with Ladios. It's a must that we spend in January. I understand and I replicate those feelings of, oh yeah, whatever, we're not going to spend in January. But it's not impossible, and it's certainly not impossible when you've got new investment into the club with new ideas around the footballing side, which is exactly what Sir Jim Ratcliffe is apparently going to do. We need to wait and see what's going to happen, but I think we have to invest in this squad in January. I mean, look, I would be saying this even if the Glazers were in charge. Whether they would do it or not, we've seen over the last couple of years they probably wouldn't. But we definitely do need to invest. How we do that's going to be very interesting, and we'll talk about that. Klaus says, would you take Todibo and Thuram for around 120 million, or Silva and the CDM from Benfica for 170, 190? Well, I think you've massively over valued Thuram and Todibo. We're not going to pay over £100 million for them. They're not bloody worth it. Todibo's worth about 30. Thuram's worth about 35. So you'd probably get the both for under 70 million, really. I don't massively rate Thuram from Nice. I think this is just because he plays for Nice. I think Todibo's a good player. I wouldn't be taking anyone else from Nice. But if we're looking at 4 players, and that's apparently what we're looking at. If we are looking at 4 players, then you've got holding midfielder, centre-back, striker, number 8. I would question that we're looking at those players in the midfield. I don't actually think that is likely to be the case, that we're looking at players in the midfield. I just don't see that, if I'm being completely honest. I think that we're probably going to look at maybe we'll look at a striker, maybe we'll look at a loan deal, and that also you've got to balance into the fact that how much of this is actually about the summer. You've also got to balance in about what money's available and whether you should spend in January. Remember I said this yesterday. Should we spend in January? Is that a good idea to spend in January? The director of football is probably not going to be here. I mean, unless there's some sort of covert action going on where Paul Mitchell and Blanc and Sir David Brailsford and Sir Jim Radcliffe are sat there now, which they could well be. I mean, we all know what needs to happen. Why would they be sat there doing nothing? If they're sat there going, do this, do that, do this, do that, then maybe things can happen in January. But if we're not at that point, spending big money in January is risky. Look, I disagree with the anti-media agenda against Ten Hag. And I don't know actually, I wanted to talk about that. Did you see that interview that Ten Hag did? I saw the little clip of it last night. Disgusting. We'll talk about that in a moment. Basically, he's being interviewed in a one-on-one in a professional environment. And I don't know who the interviewer is. If anyone's got their name, I'd love to know who they are. Not from a threatening point of view, just from their super prat point of view. And they're sat there saying to Ten Hag, basically words to the effect of, you're doing really, really well at the moment. Do you think you can keep it up, or do you think you'll start losing games like we want to? And Ten Hag sort of looks at him and goes, you what? And it's like an open, yeah, we want you to lose because we get more clicks out of it. I was like, bloody hell. And it's in a professional environment interview, and it's an English journalist. I just don't know who it is. And they basically sit there and go, you're doing well at the moment. Do you think you'll keep it going, or do you think you'll start losing games like we all want you to? And I was just like, how unprofessional is that? And they say that fan content has a bad name. And that's a mainstream interview. I don't know why Manchester United are giving interviews to these wallies. But they won't let us interview Ten Hag. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. I'm coming in January, and Son says he's coming in January. Okay. I thought we were actually adding something there about that, but yeah, I really do question that sort of behaviour, if I'm being honest, in an interview to openly say to a manager of any football club, we want you to lose, is terrible. Right, apparently his name's Matt Smith. Matt Smith. Let's have a look who he works for. Matt Smith. Doctor Who. Works with ITV Sport. Worked with them. What does he do now? Works for TNT, does he? I mean, it's just absolute crap. Absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish. I mean, look, I've wandered off a little bit there, but I find that absolutely incredible that a respected outlet could sit and say to Ten Hag, how long do you think you're going to do this, or do you think you'll start losing the games like we want? Like, I mean, look, we all know that people want United to lose games, but to sit there and say it's just bloody crap. No wonder the mainstream's just falling off. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I would never sit there in front of Jurgen Klopp. If I was offered an interview with Jurgen Klopp, I'd do it. I don't like Liverpool, but I respect Jurgen Klopp. I think he's a good manager. I'd never sit there and say, so Jurgen, do you think you win the league, or are you going to start losing games because we love it? You know, it's just, have a bit of class. And I felt bad for Ten Hag as well. I did. I felt bad for him. Anyway, going back to the headlines of the show, Ten Hag's 100 million January transfer boost, because that's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to take. In this article, it says United are looking for a centre-back, a striker, a number 8 and a number 6 in January. And I think if you are looking for 3 or 4 players in January, you're going to have to find 100 million quid. And I think with Sir Jim coming in, if we're going to buy players in January, we're going to need 100 million. And people would say, well, that's ridiculous. But that's only because we've not done business in January. I think if you want to bring 3 or 4 players in, even if some of them are loan deals, you're going to need 100 million quid. 100 million quid in the current footballing world, it isn't even that much. I remember a video. I remember doing a video like this probably 3 or 4 years ago when Mourinho was here, and it was something like £100 million summer spend, and it sounded like a lot. £100 million now, as sad as it sounds, is not a lot of money, especially in the January transfer window where you're going to pay a little bit more. Did you see Ince talking rubbish about the Bruno captaincy, says Shane? Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but, you know, I like Incey, but Roy Keane talks about him like that. Gary Neville's spoken about him like that. I respect all these people as legends of Man United, but they just seem to have a massive problem with Bruno Fernandes. Let's accept it. Varane is made of glass and ghosted in his last year at Real Madrid, says Aditya. Let's not accept it. You're talking absolute shit. Let's go back to talking sense about a story that's actually relevant. So what would we do even if we had £100 million in January? And as I said, I'm sort of with the people that are going, this won't happen, Mark, it's a waste of time. But what I will say is, we don't know what's going to happen in January. I can't sit here and say it's impossible that United spend 100 million in January. In some ways, it's completely logical. We will have an investor for January who will own 25% and will take control of the footballing side. We cannot judge January on the past 2 January transfer windows, which was Glazer-led. This is a new investor who isn't going to come into the club and just say, I don't want to be involved in anything, I just want 25%. He wants to run the footballing side of things, and he's only got a short period of time to be successful at that. You therefore can't ignore a January transfer window. And then, look, my biggest concern is how you would find the funds when we know that we didn't even have enough money to buy Amrabat 3 months ago. So my biggest concern is, where's the gap coming from? Even if you've got 100 million quid, how are you going to create that in the books with financial fair play? That's my biggest concern. Sir Jim Radcliffe saying there's £100 million to spend on players, I think is quite logical. It's just how we make that possible in January. And I'm not going to say it's not impossible for us to do it, because I think it could happen. The question is, what could you do in January? Well, Todibo is a possibility at centre-back. Someone like Timo Werner on loan is a possibility up front. In the midfield area, I disagree with sending Amrabat back. And why would we go for... I mean, I saw... this is an interesting story this morning, actually. I saw Plettigol, the German journalist for Sky Germany, saying that Manchester United are obsessively scouting, or something to the words of those effects, Florian Wirtz, the 20-year-old, I think he plays for Leverkusen, attacking midfielder. Really, I mean, Wirtz seems like he's been around for about 10 years, but he's still only 20 years of age, and apparently Man United are really looking at him. He's another attacking midfielder. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. I mean, it didn't make sense buying Mount. It really makes no sense buying another attacking midfielder. So if we're looking to buy midfielders, they've got to be more combative. They've got to be 8s and 6s. They can't be 10s. We've got loads of 10s. We can't do that. So the question for me is, if we're going to strengthen the midfield, and I think you do need to strengthen the midfield. I'm never not going to be honest about this. If Amrabat isn't doing very well, and I don't rate McTominay. I think he can score a goal here and there, but I don't think he does anything else. Eriksen, injured or not, has his limitations. Some people are writing Casemiro off. That leaves you with Mainoo and Bruno, and you need more than that. So we definitely do need to bring midfielders in. I just don't know what we're looking at. There's been talk of this Andre, who's in Brazil. There's another Brazilian we've been linked to, I saw last night, actually. I'll bring that into the show. But I think we're going to need some really good scouting to bring players in January, and I don't trust that we've got that. So even if the money's available, doing business for Manchester United will be very, very difficult. It's coming in from ESPN Brazil. Manchester United have made an inquiry about Corinthians midfielder Gabriel Moscado. Corinthians are requesting a 30 million euro deal for a January move. I don't know anything about him. I don't know anything about him at all. So I don't know what that means and how that happens. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm not opposed to United doing these deals. In many ways, I'd be quite happy to do those deals. Basher says, if you were to choose Van der Beek or McSauce tonight, well, I wouldn't pick Van der Beek. And it's not going to happen. And I'm not the manager of Manchester United. So yeah, I wouldn't. I don't think that's what happen. But I think with regards to how we sign players in January, I will say this: I think we can. I think it's on the agenda that we can do it. I think we're all labouring under previous January transfer windows, which is understandable with the Glazers. But the kicker to that is that if you're going to spend in January, you're going to need about £100 million. And if somebody's buying 25% to have control of the footballing side, I don't expect them. In fact, let me just put it like this. For all those people who I agree with, who are saying we won't do anything in January because we never do, I agree with that. But then the flip side is we've got somebody that will be here in January who's buying 25% of the club and is going to have control of the footballing side. Do you really think with 25% of club and control of the footballing side, he's just going to go, let's do what the Glazers do. Let's do nothing. Logically, we're going to do something in January. Now, it might just be clear house. Get rid of Sancho, get rid of Varane, get rid of Martial. In fact, it says in the article, if we're going to bring a striker in, then Martial needs to go. But I think that I think we will do something. To what extent? To what extent? I don't know. Kaiser says it's not 25% of the club. Well, we don't know what it is at the moment. Flavio says the big problem is, Mark, he'll still only have John Murta as the director of football. Well, that's absolutely fine. Really, that's absolutely fine. But let me just send this message. Yeah, I think that's a great point by Flavio about John Murta. My big concern is, and look, people ain't going to like this, but, you know, so what? If we're spending £100 million or £50 million or £70 million in January, I'd rather not spend it if it means we're going to not have the new director of football in place. Because what's the point in spending money? Look, what's the point in spending money in January if John Murta's the director of football? Because it's like spending money on a car that you're going to sell. It's like getting new wheels and new interior and new, you know, sound system and everything on a car that you're going to sell. You may as well keep the money back for the car that you want. I cannot understand why Ten Hag doesn't give Donny a run. We need numbers, but doesn't help. We don't use the squad either, says Drew. I think because Donny's gone. He's finished. I think that's what that's all about. I hope it will be an entertaining game tonight, bud. I can't really see you guys win against us. See you later and welcome to hell, says Honor. I'm going to talk about that game in a moment. Morning, Mark. I'm concerned about the pressure and expectation already on Mainoo. We still need other midfielders who control the pace of the game, says James. I'm praying for a win on my birthday, says Jamie Johnson. Come on, United. Happy birthday to Jamie as well. And also, hi, Mark. Sell Sancho. Deadwood at the moment. We have wingers who need game time, but they need next starting. Also, sell McTominay while he's still relevant, says Ricky. I'd sell McTominay. I definitely would. I'd cash in while he's got a bit of value to him. I've never felt that he's a future Man United player. So I agree with you on that one. But no, going back to that previous point about Mainoo, and also there's just something else come out from Pletigol about Portuguese players that I need to read you. So remind me of that. In relation to Kobbie Mainoo, I have total faith in this fan base. I know some people come out with some stupid things, but I think there are certain themes in this fan base where we can be completely united. You look at, we know who our legends are, we know who to respect, we know our history, and I think when it comes to young players, we know how to treat young players within the football club, but more importantly within the fan base. Mainoo is not the solution. He will have bad games. He's 18 years of age. He will not just be Roy Keane for the next 14 years. He will have games where he doesn't play very well. He will have games where he disappears. That's what happens with young players. They give you a glimpse and you nurture them. Occasionally, you get superstars that drop into the team at 16, 17, 18 and are consistent from day one and become, you know, mega stars. I hope it happens with Mainoo. But in reality, he's probably going to go a little bit like that over the next 18 months. And that's absolutely fine. There'll be times where we need to take him out of the team. There'll be times where we don't. On a very basic level, even if he's playing well, we need to take him out of the team because he's 18 years of age. His body's going to be growing for the next 4 years. You play him 3 times a week for the next 2 years, he'll be done. Physically, he needs to be taken out of the team as well because you've got to manage his minutes. So I don't think there's a Man United fan out there that thinks that Kobbie Mainoo is now going to start every single week and be the best player in the world for the next decade. He's got to be in and out the team. We've got to nurture him. Bottom line is, we can't be reliant on Mainoo. We've got to nurture him. We've got to look after him. He's not got to come in and save us. So we saw it with Greenwood. We saw it with Rashford. I think we overplayed Rashford, actually. If I'm being honest, I think we burnt Rashford out. I do. I think we burnt Martial out. I think with Garnacho, it's been handled better. I felt with Greenwood, it was handled better until what happened. And I think that we've just got to be very, very careful. Now, Tyanan says, what about Bellingham? But you didn't listen, did you? You started typing before you actually thought. Because what did I say, Ty? I said there are exceptions to the rule that are completely world-class players that just drop in and play every week. Jude Bellingham's one of those players. It's a rarity. Maybe it will happen with Mainoo, but we shouldn't expect it. And what I'm saying is I don't think our fan base is that thick. I don't think we think Kobbie Mainoo is going to play every game from now until 2036 3 times a week. It would be abnormal to do that. It can happen. You've mentioned Bellingham there. Maybe that will happen. But bottom line is, with younger players, they will have bad games. They will be inconsistent. We've got to protect him. But look, he's a very exciting player with a very mature head on his shoulders, and I'm very, 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 very excited about what he can do, especially tonight. Little bit more news coming out. This is coming in from Pletty Goal as well. Remember, he said that we're looking at Wirtz and Bayern Munich, looking at Varane. Manchester United are still pushing for Benfica midfielder João Neves. United hope to sign at least one of the 2 Benfica players next summer, Neves and Silva. However, Silva remains the absolute top target and is very likely to leave with his €100 million release clause. Benfica are confident Neves could stay until 2025. So Neves is the... here we go. Here's a little bit of a niche poll for you. Some of you won't even be able to answer this. Either or, Silva or Neves. If you can get one player from Benfica, and I'm going to go and get them for you now, would you take the centre-back Silva or would you take the holding midfielder Neves? I'd take Neves. 100%. 100%. I don't think Silva's really that important. I would like to buy Silva if we were buying 2 centre-backs, but I'd rather buy Neves. I think it's more important to have to sort the midfield out. I think centre-backs, you can always find good centre-backs. I think you can always find good centre-backs, but midfielders that are going to be, game changers. I mean, look at what Man City did with Rodri. I mean, if Man City lose Rodri, they're not the same. If Man United lost Roy Keane, they weren't the same. I think even Arsenal with Declan Rice at the moment, they're not the same. I don't think we'll get either of those players, by the way. But you know what? I can't be a hypocrite. I'm talking exactly the same way as I just spoke about the January transfer window. I don't think we'll do any business in January. I don't think we can get any player from Benfica. The footballing side's about to change. Could get worse. Hopefully it's going to get better. Maybe we do that. But I've got to be clear here. I don't actually want Manchester United's future transfer strategy to be about spending £100 million on this player or £100 million on that player. We've been down that route. We've been down that route with Di Maria and Paul Pogba and Harry Maguire and Jadon Sancho. And we've been down this route of spending a lot of money on one player. I actually want Manchester United to bring in experienced specialist recruiters, whether it's Paul Mitchell, whether it's someone like Blanc, who's very experienced in running big football clubs. I want Manchester United to start going, oh, this player's out of contract in 2 years. He's an international. He's 26. Let's get him on the cheap. Oh, this player's out of contract. He's completely free. Let's do that. This player in Brazil looks like he's going to be absolutely amazing. Let's get him in for 20 million. I want United to do that because we need quantity. We need quality, but we need quantity. If I've got £100 million and I spend it on one player at Man United, I feel I've failed. I might have bought a really good player, but actually it's lazy. Let's call it for what it is. It's bloody lazy to spend £100 million on one player because you go, as a director of football, I've failed. If I've got a £100 million budget at Man United and I spend it all on one player, I've failed. I'll get the PR, I'll get the hype. Everyone will be going, look, Goldbridge is walking in like a boss, and I'll be sat there with the new player going, yeah, it's all about me. But I've failed. Do you know why I've failed? Because Man United don't need one player. Man United need about 6 or 7. So if I've got £100 million, I shouldn't be buying a £100 million player. What I should be doing is doing my job at the hardest level and finding 3 players for £100 million. And the only way I'm going to do that is if I'm really, really good at my job. I find a bargain on a free agent. I find somebody that's coming through in France or in Brazil or something like that for 30 million. And then I get somebody else who's got a couple of years left on their contract, who's a bit of a rough diamond or something like that. That's proper recruitment. Anybody can go and spend £100 million on an obvious target. The superstar recruitment is where you go and do what Brighton do, or where you do what Juventus were doing a few years ago, where you're getting these really good players who are at the end of their contracts. That's proper recruitment. That's what Man United need, because we need quality, but we also need quantity. There's no £100 million player that's going to make Man United a Premier League. If I offered you any player in world football, whether it's 100 million or 200 million, there's no player in world football that's making us win the league. Tell me a player that makes Man United win the league. It's the same as the manager. Pep Guardiola won't make Man United great. Not without $1 billion. There's no one player in world football that makes Man United win the Premier League. But if I said to you, pick me 3 or 4, now you're talking. You're talking. Farrell says, Harry Kane, you're having a bloody laugh. We don't even create chances for strikers. But I reckon some of you could find me 3 or 4 players that will make us a better team. And that is exactly what Manchester United need to do. Bellingham, Kane, Haaland, De Bruyne, Van Dijk, Silva, whoever. One player won't do it. They won't do it. We need 3 or 4. We need 6 or 7, really. And that's recruitment. And you know what? As a fan base, we need to do better as well, don't we? Because we hype up these massive deals. I've done it. Paul Pogba. You know, you hype up these deals, and actually, that's not good recruitment. Like, it's not good recruitment. It's not good recruitment to give Ajax 90 million euros and Anthony 200 grand a week when he's only worth 50 and was on 20 grand a week. That's not good recruitment. You get, you know, you break the internet, you know, you're trending on Twitter, Man United sign Anthony, but it's not good recruitment. Anthony's a good player, but it's not good recruitment. My bloody dog could go to Amsterdam and do that deal. That's not good recruitment. Oh, Ajax, here's double the value. And Anthony, here's 10 times your wages. Break the internet. We've got Anthony. That's not good recruitment. That's clown recruitment. Anyone can do that. Good recruitment is what Brighton do. That's good recruitment. And that's what we want. We want a recruitment team that is finding these players before you pay stupid money for them. That's what I want to see at Manchester United. But it's going to take a long time. Warren G says, I've played the game. Well, talking about I've played the game, some very interesting developments there in relation to what might happen in January. And I do think things can happen in January. And I do think 100 million is what could be available if we are going to do it. The big question is, will Sir Jim wait or will he want to get on with it? I would say get on with it. I'd say get on with it because it's risky. If you wait till the summer, we're probably going to be out of the Champions League. If you do it in January, we've got a chance of the Champions League. And if you spend £100 million in January, you'll get 50 million of it back straight away by qualifying. If you don't spend it and you spend it in January, you've lost 50 million by not qualifying. So I think get on with it. Tim Gerard says, did you say home is early kickoff today? Yep. Get your excuses in for work, college, whatever you're doing. Manchester United kick off today at 5:45 UK time. So normally, I don't know why, but normally Champions League games, Tuesday, Wednesday, 8 o'clock kickoffs, like it was for PSG Newcastle last night. But Manchester United tonight is a 5:45 kickoff. So this game's going to be over by 7:30. We're going to be on Fan Forum for 8 o'clock. So 5:45 kickoff. Remind yourself, if you're at work and you've not realised, you might need to start coughing. Start coughing now. Massive game for Manchester United. I did want to have a little bit of a chat about it. I know I did the preview last night. I'm not previewing the game. That's not what we're here to talk about. Faz and Ryan are out in Turkey at the moment. You'll have seen some of the clips there. They're an amazing fan base, and Manchester United are going to have to be at it tonight. We saw the handball, didn't we, last night for Newcastle? They were very, very unlucky, but we know that those are handballs, and we've got to be careful about stuff like that. We've got to be careful about these referees. They are a bit stricter. These are all things that Ten Hag will be telling the players about. But have no doubts about it. If we don't win, we're out of the Champions League. And how we feel at the moment, I think some people will be feeling nervous. What I'm about to say actually gets me excited, because this is what life is all about. You know, the unknown, the excitement, but the risk. The excitement for me is if we win, we've got a great chance of being in the knockout stages of the Champions League, and that's something to look forward to next year. If we lose, the harsh reality is we'll either be out of Europe altogether, or we're going to be playing Thursday night football again. So this is what football's all about for me. Gems is nervous. Tina G can't believe this kickoff is at this time. Some people are nervous. Some people are excited. I'm excited because I think that what I find about football is that the bigger the risk, the higher the reward. And therefore, if you think about it, if you go and play Luton in the Premier League and you win, you're probably expecting to win. If you go to Anfield and you win, the win feels amazing, because you're like, that was really hard. That's our biggest rival. You know, there's a very big chance that we'll probably lose that, and you win. And I think that's what's happening tonight. If we were playing Galatasaray and we're already qualified, is it really the same if we go and it'll be still the same atmosphere, but is it really the same? Going into this game tonight, it's got cup final. I mean, it's our own fault. It shouldn't be a cup final, but it's got cup final themes, hasn't it? It's like, if we win, oh my God, can you imagine the buzz at 7:30 tonight? If we lose, oh my God, can you imagine, how down we're going to feel tonight? And that to me is exciting. That to me is exciting, that we're on the cusp of this huge, huge game. And I don't think any of us are under any illusions that this game is massive and it's going to have an amazing atmosphere. The kickoff time's a bit annoying, to be honest with you, but just have to have our tea a bit early. But no, it's going to have an amazing atmosphere. It's got a huge amount resting on it. And I can't contemplate the fact that we don't get out of this group. Glazers didn't buy any players in January when we were mid-table after firing Ollie. What makes you think this will be any different, says Duncan. I mean, Duncan, thanks for the super chat, but are you not listening? What do I think is any different to it? We've got somebody running the footballing side who, has to make a massive impact in a short period of time and is investing quite a lot of money into the club. That's basically why I think it will be different. Hi, Mark. Was just about to ask, actually, because of the earlier kickoff, will you be able to do career mode today? I'm not doing career mode today, Horn. Sorry. Thank you very much for reminding me about that. I'm not doing it today. It's just going to be too rushed to do it. So be back on Friday with that. But thank you for reminding me. Do we have to beat Bayern or draw to get in, says Trey? The Bayern Munich game for Manchester United makes absolutely no difference at all. We shouldn't even be talking about it. Copenhagen and Galatasaray have got 5 points. We've got, what have we got? Have we got 3 points? No, actually, let me just double check this. I know we're a point behind Copenhagen and Galatasaray. There is no, we're on 3 points. Galatasaray and Copenhagen are on 4 points. Bayern Munich have qualified. So if we lose tonight, we can't catch Galatasaray. So we're out. And we can't catch Bayern. So if we lose tonight, we're gone. If we draw tonight, then we have a chance of going through as long as we beat Bayern Munich. So we've got to win. We've got to win. If we draw or lose, we're basically out. Drawing will extend the pain, but I'd say we'd be basically out because we'd have to beat Bayern Munich, and even if we did, we'd be wanting Copenhagen to beat by Galatasaray or draw. It'd be very, very difficult. There's a slim chance if we draw that we can go through, but we've got to win, really. We have to win. And even if we win, to be fair, we go to 6 points, and we'd still have to get something against Bayern, because if Galatasaray, well, actually, even if we win, there's an opportunity that we don't go through, because we go to 6 points. Galatasaray and Copenhagen would be on 4. One of them win and we don't beat Bayern and we go out. So yeah, as I said in the preview last night, let's not be thinking about draws being a good result. We don't draw this season. We don't draw this season. And if we draw and we've got 4 points from 5 games, We don't bloody deserve to go through. Somebody just said, what about third place? I mean, that's where it starts to get complicated. I think if we lose tonight, we won't get any Europe at all, which is going to I mean, I don't want to go back over old ground, but if we lose tonight, we're on 3 points. Our last game's against Bayern Munich. We probably don't win that. I don't think we'll even finish third in the group. So, and some people last night were quite happy about that prospect. Trust me. I mean, I got a message from somebody after the show last night who's a journalist in the industry, and they said, spot on the show, if United aren't in Europe, it's going to have a huge impact on Ten Hag's safety as the job, but also financially, you're going to be in massive problems. So anybody who's saying, I'd rather not be in Europe at all, you're basically cutting your nose off to spite your face. We will be financially ruined if we don't end up in Europe. And I get it. As I said last night, I get it. People saying I'd rather not be in Europe than be in the Europa League. I get that. I like having Thursdays off. But financially, we will be absolutely screwed. And then if we don't qualify for the Champions League in the summer, it's going to... What I was told last night is if United drop out of Europe altogether before Christmas, and then they don't qualify for the Champions League next year, the loss will run into well over 30-40 million pounds. Could be in excess of 50. Massive losses for Manchester United that they just can't afford. Tony says, aren't we screwed either way for next season because of Sir Jim Radcliffe's ownership of Nice? Well, we spoke about that last week, Tony, and obviously there is this rule that United wouldn't be able to play in the Champions League or the Europa League if Nice finish higher than us in the French League. But I also spoke to somebody last week after that, and they said, don't worry about that. They'll find a way around that, or UEFA will change the rules. So, yeah. That's down to the Glazers, says Spoiled Ballot Papers. You need to start looking for that Europa League ball again, Mark, says Gareth. Well, Gareth, the live show. I hope some of you are going to be there a week on Monday. Link is in the video description and in the live chat. We've still got a few tickets left. It's going to be a great night. I was wrapping up some presents yesterday. But I used to have a Europa League ball behind me, which I replaced for a Champions League ball. I don't have the Europa League ball anymore because at the London show we did, I gave it to a Liverpool fan for a joke. And I took the piss out of them badly. And to this day, I still feel bad about it. I said, is there any Liverpool fans in the chat, in the audience? And there was. And I said, why? And she said, I'm here with my boyfriend, but I support Liverpool. And I said, right, come up to the stage. And I took out the prop and everyone laughed as I gave her the Europa League ball. And I said, it's only banter, like. I don't want any complaints. She said, it's fine. And she just walked off with a sad face with that Europa League ball. So, yeah, it would be very embarrassing for us to be... Junior says, what about a Conference League ball? I mean, that, to me, I'd rather have... Conference League ball, I don't even know what it looks like. I would rather have one of those balls you get from the beach. You know, those 10p balls that cost shoot and, you know, you kick it and it moves more than a Ronaldo free kick. Yeah, so I don't have the Europa League ball anymore. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's not be doom. It's not the Temple of Doom. It's Positivity Street. I'm excited. Join me for the match tonight. We've got a road trip for you from Turkey as well this afternoon. And yeah, in some ways it's good that it's earlier because we get it on earlier. But I don't know where this is going. I don't know where this is going. I predict a United win, but I mean, United are the Forrest Gump of football, isn't it? You never know what you're going to get. And we don't know what we're going to get tonight. But I'm hoping that although a lot of the teams we've beaten have been shit, this survival mentality might just get us through it. I can see Galatasaray in the bar. I can see Onana making some saves. I can see some deflections sending it wide. I can see us being under the cosh and just getting the job done. But we've got to win. We have to win. That's what we need to do. And I'll be there with you. And I tell you what, if we end up in the bloody Europa, if we lose tonight, I'm going to unload all my frustration. But I think I'm going to be unloading not success, excitement and joy, comfort and joy. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back with you later on. Don't forget to smash a like and subscribe. And And also links in the video description for Christmas show tickets. I think we've got less than 50 left now. So if you want to get there, we've got Ben Foster, we've got presents going out, we've got quizzes, we've got photo opportunities as well. You'll get those. It's going to be a fantastic night, December the 11th in Manchester. Get your tickets while you can. They're going really quick. I think we still have about 40 left. So links in the video description and in the live chat. It'd be great to see you there. And it'd be great to see you on the watch along later. Speak to you in a bit.